The retail release of Altered is almost here, and today we got a special series of videos, 2 videos, one on each of our channels, my channel, and on Red Zone Rogue, another incredible TCG content creators channel. We are both cracking open boxes of Altered Beyond the Gates Retail Edition. Gonna see what uniques we pull and just do a lot of chatting and bantering about the game. So these are a bit longer, not very quick, efficient pull videos, just hanging out, talking about Altered and talking about the uniques that we pull and some of the other cards we see. So strap in. We've got a link down in the description below. If you want to see Kel's video, I highly recommend it. That's the longer one. My video is a little bit shorter, but you can watch them in either order. So watch this, watch that, watch that, watch this, whatever you want to do. Hope you guys enjoy this either way, and let's jump into the video. What's up, everyone? It's Dan with Maindeck, and here with my good friend, you know him, you love him, it's Red Zone Rogue.
How's it going? How's it going, everyone? I'm very, very happy and excited to be here. This is actually part 1 or part 2, depending on which order you have seen these in, of some Altered openings and discussions, and it's very enjoyable. So I'm glad to be here and to be talking even more Altered and see what Dan pulls in his box, because mine was pretty good.
Yeah, yours was a lot of fun. So just to break the sort of illusion, we did yours first, and Kel, in that video, we talked for a long time. We started off doing, we're going to do box breaks, but that, like you said at the end, that was just actually, it was kind of like we did an Altered podcast of our own, just while you opened the facade of opening a booster box.
Yeah, the idea started as like, we'll open up the box and I'll ask like a couple questions as I open up the packs and we'll progress through. But then we ended up on like some really kind of like more, I don't want to say deep, but like some open-ended topics that we ended up talking about for quite some time. So it turned into like a podcast with a little box opening spray paint job kind of over it.
And I think I'm going to say it right now so I can be wrong on the internet, which is our favorite thing to do. But I think this will be a faster video. And
comment down below if it's faster or not.
Exactly. I already did. Of course, we did a live opening on our channel with the help of my lovely wife, which was super, super great. We did 6 boxes there. So if you are just here to watch a lot of boxes being opened, I recommend checking those out. That'll get you covered. And make sure you go to Kel's channel. It'll be linked in the description. It'll be linked at the end of the video. We got his box over there. Plus, he opened boxes as well. There are so many boxes of Altered you can watch open right now. But if you want to see what's going on here, we'll probably open this box and chat a bunch more. So dig in, grab some popcorn or whatever. Let's crack open our box here. Now, Kel, like we talked about in your video, this is the retail edition of Altered. Yep. And let's spoil it a little bit. You don't have to say what your cool cards were, of course, because that's what's in your unique. But how was your experience opening retail versus Kickstarter?
It's pretty close, I would say. I had a lot of fun opening both, and it's the kind of experience that you essentially want to have when opening up a new trading card game, in that I want to open up more, and that same experience opening both. I didn't really notice the 1 pack difference. There's a couple other things, right? That Dan can maybe get into a little bit that are like a little bit more rare occurrences. So maybe if you got really lucky with your Kickstarter boxes and you open up these, you might, you'll be like, oh, where's my God packs or whatever. Right. But I think they were very, very close, and both equally fun. So if you're like deciding between the two and you have a limited budget, I would say don't feel bad about just getting the retail version. Like, it was still a lot of fun, and I opened up some cool cards. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I will say that like the number of uniques that you're going to get is going to be like we saw, slightly lower. But not significantly lower to the point where you need to be paying double for the Kickstarter boxes. If you can get the retail for cheap, that's what the prices are looking at right now. Outside of, again, when you open that golden booster, my box, I ended up opening off camera a box with a golden booster. That's how it happens. But we ran out of time for the 6 boxes, and like, I want to open my other 3 Kickstarter ones. And of course there's the golden booster. That golden booster box had 17 uniques in it at the end. I was like, okay, this makes it feel like totally nuts. When you open that box, is like, it felt like one of the best boxes I've ever opened in my life of anything, to get that many uniques
Yeah.
in it. But you know, if you open up a retail box and you get like 5 uniques, that's like, I had boxes that were at least like 6 uniques, and that was it. I think in the Kickstarter ones, like, it's not, that last unique had to be pretty good to be worth the extra like $100, right? So
Yeah, and like the gold packs are like, how rare again are they, Dan? Like they're not super common, right?
they're about 1 in 250 boosters. So like in about 6-ish boxes, you are likely to see one.
So yeah, you have like a 1 in 6-ish, maybe being generous, 1 in 5-ish chance. That's still like not the best chance when you're spending like hundreds of dollars on a box.
Right. Which I want to stress that I think we have our first unique already. This is
Ooh.
awesome. So pack 2, we have our first unique, but I want to stress that I do think that the retail edition this wasn't the case where the Kickstarter came out, then retail came out. I was like, why would you ever buy retail? I think from seeing Kel's box and what we're about to see here, retail feels like a totally reasonable place to buy in. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
So if you're here on my channel, I'm going to assume, you either watched Kel's video and you heard us talk a lot about Altered, or you've at least seen some of the other stuff. I don't need to go over like what's a rare, what's a common as much. So the big thing we're going to do here is we're looking for our uniques. We're going to open these uniques and we're going to get a little bit of Kel's opinions, a little bit of my opinions. Let's see what our uniques are like. Okay.
Yeah.
So our unique is a Lyra Cloth Dancer. This is an out of faction in Muna, which is my favorite faction, as everybody knows. So what do we have here? We have a 3-hand 2 reserve, 3/0/3. Very Lyra of it to have a 0 in it, of course.
Interesting.
Has, when played from reserve,
interesting.
You may pay 1. If you do, up to 1 target character gains fleeting. That's the Lyra Cloth Dancer effect. But it in this case, it's on reserve, and you have to pay the extra 1. So when you played from reserve, it's a 3 cost to get the Cloth Dancer, give something fleeting. But then it also has when another character joins your expeditions, up to 1 target character gains fleeting. So this is a Cloth Dancer that can apply a lot of fleeting, potentially, in a later game scenario. Huh.
Yeah, this is interesting. So like so fleeting is an interesting mechanic. It's like sort of like pseudo removal, like kind of. How prevalent is removal in Muna, just in general? I imagine not much.
Muna is a low removal faction. They're kind of one of the core pieces of removal in Muna is actually beauty sleep, which is just giving something a sleep for the turn.
Yeah.
It's a common that's really easy to slot in because it costs 1 and it sleeps something. And like late in the game, it just is game winning. But mid game, it's like you don't really want to put their thing to sleep asleep this turn, because then you still have to just deal with it next turn, right? So it's like Muna has a couple of out of faction things that it can use to get a little bit of extra removal, but otherwise it's relying on stuff. Again, this is another out of faction card like this, just to be able to sort of interact with the opponent. And like you said, it's pseudo removal, right? It's like giving something fleeting is not doing anything about the card right now, but it's removing it on the back end. It's like, it's almost I guess I never thought about this. It's the opposite of a sleep. The opposite of a sleep is saying, I don't want to deal with it now. I'll deal with it next turn. And fleeting is saying, I'm going to just like tank it right now, but next turn I don't have to deal with it at all.
Yeah. The fact that this is like the second ability is not like a once per turn, it's just like whenever another character. Anytime I see that on any card in any card game, I always like perk up a little bit, because I'm like, okay, then this has like a lot of potential. It's just like, are you going to be able to maximize that potential in this, and is it going to be worth it? So like, I think this card seems pretty cool, to be honest, especially if you can do like, if you can just spit out a whole bunch of dudes after you play this. Yeah, and it's not like super high costing. 3 costs from hand, 2 from reserve. It seems cool.
This strikes me as a Rin and Orchid unique, actually. And the reason for that is, number one, it does support Forest, which is what Rin and Orchid is always trying to win on. But Rin and Orchid's things, when you win on Forest, you're going to accumulate a little bit of extra advantage. You're going to get a little bit of resupply. And that's going to give you more cards to work with to be able to kind of flood the board a little bit, to put a bunch of fleeting on things. So this is a card you can throw in Rin and Orchid. It's going to work just in your general game plan already, but then you're going to have these late game turns where you're going to be like, your opponent's going to do their big stuff, and you go, okay, well, I'm just going to fleeting your board then real quick. And then you can actually do it again the second time you play it as well, by then getting to pay the 1, and then you don't have to play as many things that turn to fleeting the board again. So kind of a cool, I think you have to be a big time gamer to play this unique, because giving things fleeting is like not doing anything, right? But the big time gamers would get good advantage from this.
So like what I see from that is like anytime, so if they end up in the future making Muna a faction that spits out a bunch of tokens, that card's like cracked with tokens, right?
Oh yeah.
It would just like give everything that they have fleeting, and then also provide the whatever bonuses that the tokens themselves do. So you can actually both win and make all their stuff go away, which seems pretty strong.
Yeah. And I will say too, that there's a limit to how good give target thing fleeting can be, right? It's only as good as the number of characters that are not tokens that your opponent has played that turn.
Right. Yeah.
So it like, I agree. I think if we get some Muna token production in the future, then it's way more consistent to be able to like fleeting your board with that ability. But it's also like, it doesn't take that many right now just to fleeting your opponent's board either.
Right.
Just a couple of cheap, Muna Caretaker, Sneezer Shroom, Spindle Harvesters, whatever. You throw a couple of those out, boom, then you're cooking. I've stopped on this rare because we've already hit our second unique.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we're going a lot faster this time. I told you we would. All right, our second unique is
okay.
Bravos. Okay, we got a Bravos Haven trainee. This is a 2-hand 3 reserve 4/2/1. Nice big forest for 2. Has, when played from reserve, you may pay 1. If you do, I gain 2 boosts. Big
boy, big chungus here.
This is a great example of something we talked about in Kel's video, a type of unique that is basically, this is kind of like the rare. It's not doing anything crazy. It's not doing anything explosive. It will fill a slot in your deck. If you're playing a Bravos deck and you're just like, I just want a thing that gets some stats, and you haven't played all 3 Haven trainees yet in rare, then you can use it in your unique slots, throw this in. It's a 2-cost 4/2/1, and then it's a 4-cost 6/4/3. Just really solid, especially if you need to win forest. So it's a
4 costs for 6 seems pretty good.
I rank this as it's a very mid, unique, which is like it just fills a slot. It's a stat stick. That's what it does.
It feels unexciting, but like potentially could be one of the cards that, like, I don't know, maybe depending on your deck, maybe it wins a lane or something, but it feels very like it's not flashy. It's not flashy, I guess is the way to put it.
We've seen some Bravos uniques that are stat sticks and are also extremely flashy. So
I didn't tell you about this one that I got. I got the whale. I got the big sky whale.
Ooh, you got a Kaibara?
Yeah, I got a unique one. And the funny thing is the thing already costs like 9 to play. And its effect is like when it leaves, it ramps you. It takes the top card of your deck and puts it into your mana orbs. And I was like, you're ramping, but this dude already costs like 9.
We need more. We need more mana.
Yeah, that's one of the uniques I got that I was like, I don't know about this one.
That is a funny place for that ability to show up for sure.
Yeah, maybe in like, I don't know, multiplayer when the games go super long or something. I don't know, but
yeah. That definitely you get your fair share of uniques that are a little. We have a third unique already. They're coming right at the top of the box. This is crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's just the thing though. Not every unique is going to be hot. As the people who watched the live stream that I did know, my uniques in especially the first few box, I was on fire. I was hitting cracked unique after cracked unique for a while there. And then later on in the boxes, we got some like, okay, this is the other end of it. Like they're not bad, but they're just like, they're fine. They're just uniques. And you're going to get a little of both when you're opening. And that's part of the fun is like, you can't get excited about the exciting uniques if you don't have the uniques that are like, it's just a card, right?
Yeah.
So this unique, I'm super pumped because it's a Muna Sneezer Shroom. It's my favorite kind of thing to see here. Now, the thing that's tough about Sneezer Shrooms is that I already want to play 3 Sneasel Shroom in my deck.
Right.
So I have to lose a Sneasel Shroom to play a unique one. But this is a 3 hand cost, 1 reserve cost, 0/2/2. It's not fighting in forests, so that's interesting. When played from hand, you may pay 1 if you do target character gains anchored.
Okay, seems pretty good. So you basically pay 4 for not a lot of stats, but like anchored on something else. That seems pretty good.
Before I even read the rest of the card, I want to point out that almost every give something anchored effect says target character with hand cost 3 or less gains anchor.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
This just says, yeah, did you put down a gigantic unit this turn with like literally, I mean literally a unit with the keyword gigantic this turn? Well, why don't you just anchor that down? So now both sides have to deal with that unit both turns. Kind of disgusting. But yeah, it does cost 4 to do. That's quite hefty too. When played from reserve, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, I gain anchored. So there's the Sneasel Shroom giving himself anchored. So hand, he anchors something else. Reserve, he anchors himself.
Interesting. So like the 4 cost is actually really interesting because if you want to anchor something huge, you need to either, it has to have already stuck around for 1 turn and had anchored or slept or something. Or you have to play it and then play this 4-drop Shroom, which seems very cost prohibitive. So it seems like a powerful effect, but it seems like it requires a lot of setup or just a lot of resources.
I was telling you a little bit in the video we did on your channel, which people should go watch, that I have been playing a ramp Muna deck, right?
Yes. You mentioned the dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. I can get a Hydrocana out turn 3. That's a 7 cost character turn 3. And if I'm not doing Hydrocana, I can play more ramp, right? Like, it is not unreasonable to get to 10 or more resources pretty early in the game with that deck. Okay. So I would say, I don't think the jury's necessarily declared this guy guilty of being a bad unique just because of that. I think that, I think this is a really curious one though. Like, if you have the right deck and you're playing Sons of Yggdrasil and you're ramping, which you do those 2 together already. Those are both good, those are both good things to do at the same time. Then this guy can kind of slot in and be like, yeah, like kind of just, if you anchor down Son of Yggdrasil and you're playing like Tasia, so it's like it's a 7, what is he? 7/6/3/3 normally. He's a 7/4/4 if I'm remembering right off the top of my head. You anchor him down as a 7/4/4 gigantic for 2 turns that your opponent has to deal with. That's going to be your game to lose at that point. That's like pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I like being able to anchor anything. That seems cool. Yeah. The second effect is a little, not as exciting, but
he's a 1 cost 0/2/2 anchored.
At that point. You have to put a card from your hand, so it's a 1 cost, but you also have to have another card in your hand. But
there are landmarks that you like to play in Muna, which are great to play out of reserve because you lose nothing for playing out of reserve. And there are some fleeting spells you might play out of reserve as well. So there are ways to build the deck with that in mind that make it not so much of a cost. And also the fact that he's a plant, that's actually a huge thing to mention too. Because in Muna, you have access to Bountiful Meadow, which is a really strong landmark. It's basically a 2 cost ramp for plants. It's a landmark that has exhaust this. The next plant you play this turn costs 1 less, and it costs 2. So you can turn 1, play that into a Sneasel Shroom anchored, letting you take a side and then be set up to you're effectively ramped the next turn. This is how that Hydrocana is fairly consistent turn 3, by the way, because it's a plant too. So you can get to the point where, like, when you have that setup, it's like, yeah, I can just for free, I'll just slap the Sneasel Shroom down and then put a card down and anchor it. And that card might be Spindle or something, another landmark that you would want to play anyway. And then you have your resources open to play it. Like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's got a little more flow to it, actually, than it might look on the outset. It's an interesting unique. I wouldn't say that's like a top tier, high power unique. But it's a fascinating little niche unique, I think. All right, got a few more rares here. So we're probably going to be unique list for a little while, I would imagine. All right, so we had a little blip there, everyone. Sorry, but we haven't opened any packs without you. Don't worry. I just started opening the next pack here. And I believe, Kel, I was just telling you, I don't know if you could hear me when we had our little issue, but I don't think that we're going to see any more uniques for a little while. I don't know if what you're expecting out of this, but
probably not, unless they're all like top loaded or you have a crazy box. Like,
I'll take a crazy box. Honestly, I'll take that. But the unfortunate thing is there's no golden boosters in the retail boxes, so we're not going to be expecting anything like that. All right.
Something that I realized might be really, really cool for this game, while kind of like checking out the starter decks and kind of doing my review and all that kind of stuff, is the I think they're called the Tumult cards. The lands are essentially the objectives, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I think having alternate art versions and like fancy versions of those would be super, super cool.
Absolutely. I was thinking about that as we were playing at locals the other week. I was thinking, I think back to the history of other card games I've been engaged with, especially the early 2000s ones where anything goes. They did all sorts of crazy experimenting with card treatments and everything. And I was like, even more recently, we've seen the rise of more things like metal cards and stuff, but I would love to see just some they could totally do some cool, tournament prize, like metal tumult cards or acrylics or, we got a unique one there. Nice.
Like a textured tumult card with like foiling on the water or something would just look awesome. Yeah.
That's what a way to flex on your opponent too, to be like, yeah, we're going to play on my tumult cards.
Yeah.
They're cooler than yours.
Hold up. Let me get mine out. And you just pull them out.
Actually, that's
also oh, good.
For a game that is so kind of, I don't know, cooperative and friendly compared to a lot of other TCGs, it is kind of cool to be like, hey, I got to play with the world champion. Oh, you got to play on the cool tumult cards? Yeah, right, I did. Yeah. That'd be kind of a cool story.
Yeah. I mean, like, even just like in future sets, also just swapping them up a little bit, having different art and that kind of stuff, I think would just be, they have some room to experiment with that and make it like really cool.
Yeah, we've talked about just the design space that's there if they want to mess around with the tumult cards a little bit, to have like formats that use different tumult cards or something. There's. Yeah, I think it's really easy. Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's definitely room for different permutations as well. Like just looking at them, you can see that they can do a lot of stuff. They can even make it like weird. Like they can make it like uneven, right? They can make it like have multiples in a row of a certain element. Right.
Yeah, exactly. They could, it would be really hard for them to introduce obviously additional elements, but I think there are some ways, because right now all the tumult cards are, you have to win on any of the three, but what if they had ones where you had to win on like two of the three specifically? Ooh. There's a little bit of room to still to toy with that, I think.
Or like this one is like, I don't know, the waterlogged tumult card, so it's got like water force and then water mountain or earth or whatever you want to call it. So it's got like consistent one through them or something,
Oh, Rin and Orchid is dying for the overgrown tumult cards where it's forest on all of them.
And then like or like it could even be like a thing where you have so maybe they do a lot of different permutations, and then you have like 9 different options and you shuffle them up and pick from like 3 of the 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't actually know what you're going to get. I don't know. That's kind of cool. They have a lot of design space.
I was going to say earlier that I think that one thing that has been really easy to forget, honestly, given just like the release, the excitement over it, but also I think like the board game like feeling of the game to some degree too. It's got a little bit of that board game feel.
Oh, for sure.
Is that this is a TCG. And set 2 is not going to be that far away ultimately, and is going to introduce, potentially a bunch of new weird mechanics, and everything that we know might just be completely different then, including new uniques for everyone too.
New uniques, new heroes, I think is really exciting, right? Like launching with 3 of each, like 3 for each faction, I think is really good. But like expanding that out every set also would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they handle releasing additional heroes into the game too, because I I you know, I think I'm going to be exploring like everything here for a while, but I'm definitely going to be looking to spice things up a little bit with some new heroes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm feeling a unique. I'm feeling a unique right here.
I
I was wrong. It's a beauty
Ooh,
sleep.
no. Oh, it's one of the shifted ones though.
Yes, it is the. I actually just had the rare beauty sleep, the pack before that as well, from Muna. So the Muna one gives 2 boost counters to the target character. The Izmir one is just the common version.
Interesting.
Yeah, that. So I'll say with the rare beauty sleep, that's been one that I've another rare I've had difficulty actually slotting into a deck because I'm typically playing beauty sleep specifically as the removal side of it.
Right.
So we talked again in your video about like the cost of playing uniques or rares in this case in your deck. And like it hasn't felt like losing a rare slot just to get that particular flexibility has
It's a
hasn't
weird
really felt worth it.
flexibility too, right?
Yeah,
It's
it totally is.
Does it always give the buff counters? Like if you play it on your opponent's thing, does it give the buff counters to, or is it only the buff on your own?
It's you may give the buff counters.
You may. Okay.
Yeah. Is you may give it to boost counters. So it's
okay.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad. I think it would be a bad rare if it had to give it to it. This is a rare I haven't gotten to play yet, Ride the Bifrost, that I've been kind of dying to. This all characters you control switch expeditions is that's such a funny effect to me.
I like it.
It's more niche again. Like it's the scenarios where that's good are not going to be that common, but where it's good, it's going to be like just absolutely game winning. Like suddenly, whoops, I guess I win on both sides now because my stats completely flipped around.
I like games having that kind of card though. Those are the kind of cards that's like a certain type of player will see it and be like, I love this. And I'm going to like do weird mind games and try to trick my opponent and then do the switcheroo.
Yeah.
Like
the old
I like when they have stuff like that.
Yeah. As I expected, no uniques for a while here. We front loaded 3 of them.
Yep.
I'm trying to think in my Kickstarter boxes when all was said and done after I opened everything. I think Ordis and Bravos were maybe the 2 ones I had the least uniques for.
Oh, for me it was actually Izmir, I think, but I only opened up 4 Kickstarter boxes. Oddly enough, Izmir was one of the factions I was looking forward to playing most. I didn't pull very many, so
your most recent retail box, I think, might be helping you a little bit in that regard. So
might have pulled a pretty good one in that one.
Oh yeah.
So looking forward to it. Hopefully at this point, maybe I'll have 3 for a deck, but it should be pretty easy to trade or get others and all that kind of stuff, which is really nice.
You were looking forward to Izmir. What other factions were you most excited for?
Ooh, okay. So a lot of them. So initially, this is when I didn't know a ton about the game, which is basically when I backed the Kickstarter. I knew a little bit about it because they reached out to me for a preview at Gen Con last year, but I didn't know like a ton about it. So I ended up going for Izmir and Axiom for a combination of what I thought would be playstyles that I jived with, and also like aesthetics. I dig the whole like witchy spellcaster magic aesthetic quite a bit, just in general, and so that was an easy go for me. And then also controlling playstyle that lends it, which is not like my absolute favorite, but I do like playing controlling type decks. And then Axiom, because I do like the steampunk style aesthetic, and it definitely felt like it would lend itself to be a mid-rangey kind of thing. And mid-rangey kind of decks for me, when I'm trying any new game, I really, really like trying the mid-range style, because that lets me feel like the real flavor of the game.
Sure.
You're not trying to go super aggro, you're not trying to go super control. It's kind of like, you feel a lot of how the game plays and the paces of it. So I always like to try to do some sort of mid-rangey thing whenever I try out a new game, if the game allows for that. Some games don't really have these type of archetypes.
Right.
And then there's also Ortis. I think Ortis is one that is like a pretty middle of the road for me. Looks pretty cool. I'm like not like super stoked for it. Do we get another one? Oh, not yet.
No, not yet.
Super stoked for it, but I'm also not like against it or anything. I think play wise looks pretty up my alley. And then there's stuff like Muna, which is another one that I think definitely appeals to me. And same with Bravos. I think Bravos and Ortis are pretty close. Lyra is the weird one for me in that I don't know how I feel about it. I might actually really love it, or I might just be like, it's fine. Like I don't think I'll hate it. I don't think I'll hate any of them, but that's the interesting one for me where I'm like, I don't know. I'll need to play it quite a bit to see. I might actually just really love it. So
I noticed you just named all 6 factions and said that you might love them.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick. It's like anyone out there who's into like mini tabletop. I'm also getting into Age of Sigmar, and it's a similar problem. All of the armies are really cool, and it's like I don't know what I've narrowed it down to 5 armies. So it's like it's a little bit easier for a trading card game. I would say it's a little bit less work that goes into it, but
yeah, it's good. I mean, the Bravos Blade Dancer in general, I think is like, especially if you're playing Basira and Kaizaimon, not playing any Bravos Blade Dancer seems objectively wrong. And to me, not playing rare Bravos Blade Dancer feels a little sketchy, but I think that's more of a topic that's up for debate.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, like it's like a low drop too. I don't know. It seems quite good.
It is. It really is. It's those, and we were talking about, we had a podcast episode where Jordan and I talked about 1 and 2 drops. And that's a thing that I think is really cool and Altered, is that 1 and 2 drops are actually so good in this game. They're in a lot of card games. They're like, well, play just enough so that you don't end up on the back foot right away at the start of the game, but then you never want to draw them late in the game. And in Altered, it's kind of different. It's kind of like there are a lot of stages in the game where a 1 drop is good. A 1 drop is good on the first turn to flex a little bit, to, move to both sides, potentially get a double progression. It's good in the mid game because you can play the 1 drop to pad a turn and then play your 4 or 3 drop or something afterwards at a more applicable location. And they're still reasonable in the late game for that task, specifically just because, ideally by that stage of the game, you can have enough cards in hand or resupply where you're going to have multiple of them. Then you can really just pad out your turn longer. But that ability just to pad out the turn at different stages of the game by playing this, it's a 1 cost after you is a way to think about it. And that is, that's just rarely actually bad.
Yeah. I mean, like, generally speaking, powerful 1 drops or low drops in TCGs tend to be fairly game warping. So,
yeah,
like I imagine it's just kind of exponentially so in a game like Altered.
Here is another landmark that you will want to look for that deck. I don't know if you play the rare version or the common one. The rare one just resupplies, so it gets you a little extra stuff.
Yeah.
But your characters have, when played from reserve, I gain 1 boost. So,
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So for your Basira and Kaizaimon thing, that starts to get things rolling.
This is one of those situations where, like, I've been really diving into Altered the last week or so from my own Kickstarter order coming in, plus the little care package that Equinox sent me, and I haven't had a lot of time to just stop and like super individually evaluate decks and strategies outside of like my own uniques and that, that kind of stuff. I've sort of semi, thought about some stuff, as we mentioned in the previous video. I was like, asked Dan some questions about like various archetypes and strategies and a lot of general stuff of like, is X strategy viable in this game? Like, do games last that long? General stuff kind of like that. Turns out I might be able to make a control deck that's annoying is quite annoying, I guess you could say.
Yeah, with your little access to Catagear, exactly. There are some, fun.
that combined with the one that just advances you one lane every single turn, so you just hard control them, and then you get to move on anyway, even if you're not like quote winning the lane.
Yep.
Seems like it could be good.
It's unique time.
Ooh,
We
let's
found our
go.
fourth. It is
Ooh, Muna.
another Muna. This is a big. All my boxes are giving me Muna stuff, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm not
Is
complaining.
Muna your favorite faction?
Yes, I love
Okay.
Muna. I
I like
played the
Muna
most
quite a bit.
Muna for sure. It's a
Ooh, Ganesh.
Ganesha. Okay. I have a very good Ganesha that I got from the Kickstarter boxes. So let's see what this one is. This is a 6-hand, 7 reserve, 7
Oh,
forest,
interesting.
5 mountain, 5 water, or I think it's actually ocean's the technical term. But when played from anywhere, for each character you control other than me, you may activate its when played from anywhere triggers. And then
Interesting.
support, each player draws a card. I have to remember now. I wonder if I've opened a rare Ganesha in here. The rare one, I don't remember the exact wording on it. It's a faction shifted card though, so it's only going to be in rare in Muna. And I just can't remember if it's activate all or activate a single one. But this would be a great card to do a comparison between the two. So we can get a read on
Pull up the
how.
cards that I opened. See if
Yeah. Let's
if I
find one.
opened
Find a Ganesha.
I think I might have opened up a rare one. Let's go see.
I mean, I definitely have one in my box somewhere, but I'll just type it to
Yeah, right. Yeah.
altered.gg
In the app.
if I need to, rather than digging through a giant box. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna pull it up here, just so I can know. All right. Yes,
Yeah, no luck.
I found it. So yeah, the normal one is a 7/7 hand, 7 reserve, 5/5/5 with that ability. For each other character you control, you may activate its when played from anywhere it triggers. So 6/7/7/5/5. So this is a unique whose sole actual gain is that it costs 1 less from hand and it has 2 more power in forest. And then it has this support ability, which is each player draws a card, which is fine, a thing. So if you already like Ganesha, you can take a unique slot to play just a better Ganesha. It does Ganesha things, but it's better in just all the aspects, right? It's different than some of these other uniques where they're like, this kind of does a different set of things. Then it's similar, but not exactly the same. And it's not even one where it's like you're giving up stats to get better stats somewhere. It's just like, no, it's just better. Like the stats are just better. One stat is better. So yeah, it's a fine unique again. It's not super exciting. The other Ganesh I have is way cooler than this one. It does some really wild stuff.
I didn't ask this in the video that we did on my channel, but a unique like this makes me think of limited formats for some reason, right? It's like not super crazy or splashy, but it could be awesome and limited. Yeah. And does Altered like officially support limited formats like draft or sealed?
It does, and they're awesome.
Okay, cool.
So draft, you can do sealed is 7 packs or a starter deck in 3 packs. Those are the 2 ways to do sealed.
Okay.
Draft is a 4-pack draft, and it's a 30 card deck that you're building. But the thing that makes it so cool is that in draft, the major change to the rules is that you get to include up to 3 different factions in your deck.
Okay.
And as you can immediately start to guess, when you combine factions, you start to get some really, really interesting interactions. You have like things like all in the Lyra card that's like roll a d6, put that many boost counters on something.
Yeah.
I opened one at some point here. I don't know. But immediately
I can see where you're going. I can see where you're going with this. Actually,
start to apply that to a faction that has gigantic units and stuff,
anchored
and it's like
or whatever,
anchored units. Yep. You're getting like, okay. So there's a lot of interactions like that between the factions that you don't normally get to see, but when you get to play in sealed or draft, you get to do the 3 faction thing, and it makes it feel like its own format, but not in that way that Kel, you've done a bunch of limited formats for other games too.
Oh yeah.
And they'll sometimes have ham-fisted rule sets that are like, yeah, that works. It's different, but it's not the game I like. I do feel like for Altered, it's the game you like, and it feels unique. in a way that I think is like very positive.
Yeah. I've not played any, obviously, based on the question that I asked, but I would very much like to. It seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've played. I've done just 3 drafts so far. We're gonna do sealed this Friday.
Standard player size, 8 players draft.
Yeah, 8-player pod works just fine.
Okay.
In my first draft, this was a card I had actually, Celestial Blast. This is a really cool spell. Yeah, it looks cool.
7.
Yeah, but it's a fleeting spell.
It just nukes stuff. Okay.
Discard up to 2 targets, either characters or permanents, and this is the rare version that also has end draw a card. Why not?
Yeah, just draw a card, sure. That seems pretty good.
Yeah,
that seems like one of the spells that would be very, very nice to remove fleeting from, right? That's one of the ones where you're just like, yeah, you just gotta blow up a bunch of stuff and draw a bunch of cards. Just pure value.
Yes, absolutely. Because you can just control the game for multiple turns with that.
Yeah, seems good.
All right, we have our 5th unique. Yep, here we go. Right behind a Twinkle Twinkle, we do have an Ortis unique, which is exciting.
All right.
Okay. This is a Paper Herald. I've seen one insane Paper Herald so far that someone showed. So
maybe we'll see 2 insane Paper Heralds.
This is a 1-hand 2 reserve, 0/1/1.
Okay.
When I go to reserve from the expedition zone, if you control 2 or more landmarks, create 2 Ortis Recruit soldier tokens in my expedition. And then it has the normal Paper Herald support ability of discard it, create an Ortis Recruit token in target expedition.
Okay, so basically, when you go to reserve, if you have 2 or more landmarks, then you get 2 little replacement cards. But it's a 1-drop. I mean, it seems like a lot of value for just being a 1-drop.
It does it on both ends. Yeah. That's the thing that's really gross about this. I actually think this is really good. I think needing 2 landmarks is obviously the stipulation, but Ortis decks, especially Sigismar and Wingspan decks, they're already trying to play 2 landmarks. It's a thing they're actively trying to do. That deck will play plenty of them. It's going to play carriers. It's going to play monoliths. It might even play out of faction things like Brassbug Hub. Any game where you set those up and then if you have this card, if you're set up and get to play this, yeah, you're going to have a really hard time losing that game, because this is just going to start to flood. You either can you play it cheap 1 turn when you have an extra mana. Then the next turn you have the 2 tokens. Then you have the option of either putting a 3rd one into play for free by just sacking it, or playing it for 2 so that next turn you have 2 more again.
Yeah.
I think that's a sweet Paper Herald. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, just like raw stats, that's a lot of stats for just like 1 cost or 2 cost, right? Even though you need to have those landmarks, just like it seems like a very efficient card.
Yeah. I mean, I think the landmark setup is required for that not to be absolutely cracked, obviously.
Well, right, yeah. You can't just do it turn 1, but
I think that's good. Whoa, we got a 6.
Ooh.
We got a nice 6 unique in our box.
Ooh, how many more packs do you have after this? Is this your last pack?
This is the second to last. We have 1 pack left here.
Okay. Nice.
6 unique box. Let's go. See guys, you don't need to buy the Kickstarter boxes. I've had Kickstarter boxes with exactly this number of uniques. Okay.
Most of mine had 6, I think. If you go watch the video that I put out, I think they both had 6.
Yep.
Except for the gold pack. We're not going to count the
gold pack then skyrockets it up, right?
Yeah.
All right. Our last unique is a Loki with the retail exclusive artwork.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a 6 hand cost, 7 reserve cost, 7/6/7. At dusk, if I have 1 or more boosts, Navenka can do that. Each player discards their hand and their reserve, then draws 3 cards. So that's the Loki effect. That's what Loki normally pitches hands.
Okay, yeah.
He also pitches reserve at dusk, and we'll do it both times you play him if you want to. And then support ability, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. I'm actually...
Does normal Loki need boosts too?
No, normal Loki does it, I think, on hand. Play from hand, I believe. I thought I had one. Yeah. So normal Loki is a 7 hand 5 reserve for a 5/5/5. So we have a big stat difference right there. And then has when played from hand. The rare version is each player discards their hand and reserve, then draws 3 cards.
Okay, gotcha.
So this one costs more on the backside.
Got a lot bigger stats, right?
But less on the front side. Has way bigger stats.
Like 2/1/2 additional stats.
Yeah, and then does the pitch thing on both sides if you just put 1 boost on him, which you'll be set up to do if you're playing this in Navenka. Interesting. It's like, I feel like he's a cheeky one of. I think this is like the unique you can slot in your Navenka deck and be like, yeah, sometimes I'll just like Loki it up. I was trying to figure out if you want to put this in, what's her name again? Blanking, not Fen and Crowbar. The third one, Arak and Kibble. Let's see. Did I get them? Did I pull them? How did I not? If I didn't, apparently I did not pull Arak and Kibble at all. Arak and Kibble is the gambler one. Well, they're gambling different ways. It's the slot machine. Whenever you play something that has 0 cost or a zero stat in it, you get a counter, and then you remove a counter for each one. I think a counter for each. Maybe I don't remember now. You remove 5 counters in order to flip the top card of your deck and play it for free.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's very fun. And yeah, just having big things in your deck obviously is really cool. But then getting this like, yep, play that for free, and then end of turn, let's just kind of screw with the board, screw with reserve, draw a bunch of cards. Seems not bad at all to throw in as a one of in there, but you have to get the boost in there. That's the one problem in that deck.
Yeah.
So, one of these uniques that is you'll get sometimes where it's like really close to being really good in something, but it's got a stipulation that makes it like, I'm not sure if I can make that happen for the hero that I want to play that in. And then our last pack. Can we get
a seven unique box?
The 7th unique? No, that would be insane. I don't know if that's even possible, but
6 is still pretty good.
Yep. We'll be happy with our 6 unique box here. So I'll just pull them off to the side here so people can see the uniques laid out. There we go.
And so which ones do you like the most? I think that little Herald is pretty cool. The Shroom has a pretty cool effect as well.
I think Herald, Shroom, and Lyra Cloth Dancer.
Yeah. The Cloth Dancer I feel has a really high top end that could be like really good later on depending on what kind of cards get printed. Yep.
I agree with that. I think the Paper Herald is potentially pretty sweet in Sidusmar, and the Sneezer Shroom, you got to find the right slot for it, but that it's just tough to get anything that openly anchors anything. So if you have the application for it, this is a really weird thing about Altered, but like, because this is a unique card, all of these are mine and nobody else's. And I didn't mention this at the start, but I mean, I've obviously already scanned all of these in. So you're not going to get anywhere if you're going to waste time trying to scan these. But if you can find any unique that has that, if a unique is the only place to get the application of that ability, you just have to find a unique that does it, right? And so you're like, it might be a beggars can't be choosers situation. It was like, well, yeah, it costs 4, but it does the thing that nothing else does, right? So,
hey, I have exactly one of those. It's a Lyra one that just adds 1 to your dice roll.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, I didn't see this on any other card. This seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You toss that in. You're like, yep, there we go. That's my cool thing. So yeah, I like these. I would say the Paper Herald probably has the most potential to be a cracked unique out of all of these, followed by Lyra and Sneezer. And then these are all like, these 3 are just kind of like fine-ish cards.
Yeah, you got kind of like a couple like just big stat stick dudes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'd say I'd call this box, I called your box an A. I like your box a lot. Even though it had less uniques, I call it an A because a couple of those I just thought were premium.
I got a couple that I'm like, there's like, from the cards that I have currently, they're going to be in decks. And then there was another one that will likely make into a deck. And then there's the final 2 are just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, opening a box and being like, yeah, I'm definitely playing these is pretty sweet.
And I'd say my box is probably a B. I'd say this is like a B. a B box. It had a good hit. It's had some pretty sweet hits, and it had some whatever hits. So
You also got like 6 as well, right?
we got the 6.
Know?
Yeah, we can give it a B plus. We could give it a B
yeah.
plus.
That elevates it a little bit.
I'll B plus it.
And we were talking about how powerful like 1-drops can be, and that Herald just being a 1-drop, 2-drop with that effect is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
It's one of those, like, again, like late game 1-drop plays. It's like if you're on that turn where you are just you have the potential to go to a draw, to go to the sort of the sudden death, the tiebreaker round. Playing this as that 1-drop out of hand to get the stats that you might need to kind of just barely tie something up, and then go, yeah, we're going to go to a tiebreaker, but guess who's going to start with more soldiers in play than you.
Right. Yeah.
That feels pretty good. Because then that's where you just use the support ability, and you get 3 soldiers the next turn for absolutely no cost whatsoever, which feels pretty insane too. Yeah.
So yeah, that one does seem. That seems pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty happy overall. I like the stuff. Good box. Feel good. Again, I'm in my big takeaway. I think you were agreeing with this in the previous video too, but these retail boxes, man, they don't feel like they're scuffed or anything. Like, pick them up if you need a box. Like, they're there. They're worth.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking in the other video. There are other card games that I've opened that just the box opening experience didn't feel great. This game always feels good. I mean, I've only opened up 5 boxes personally, in total, but every single box has been really, really fun, including the retail box. I mean, honestly, the only difference is like maybe I got like maybe one less unique and maybe a couple less unique foilers or something like that. Yeah. And obviously I didn't get the foil heroes, but to be honest, like, it still was like great, and I still want to open up more. So at the end of the day, that's kind of like how I judge it. I had a lot of fun, and I would like to open up more.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I could probably not ever open up enough altered boxes, actually.
Right.
Just like, because they're just, every box could have an insane cracked unique, and you've literally never seen it before. You have no idea. So it's honestly probably a bit of a problem. But one thing I'm really looking forward to is these promo packs that they're doing at Orderslade that have a 40% chance of having a unique in them.
All right, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and those are like those are just like participation. Like, everybody gets one for playing in the event. Your store will have them. They're sent by Asmodee to the store. And I love that. Just every event I go to, I might just get a free unique. If I don't get a unique, you get either an alt art promo, or but yeah, it's either a full art promo or a unique. So those feel really good.
Pretty good either way, actually. Yeah. Especially if you didn't open up any of the like the full art promos or anything in your Kickstarter boxes. I opened up 4. I got one, which I feel is like average.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be about 1 in every 3. I was low on mine. I got 2, and they were both Afanas and Senka. I got 2 of the same ones.
That's rough. That's actually pretty rough.
Whatever. It's fine. I have a bunch of them already. So
I've definitely had that luck in some games where you. Yeah. It happens. Well, that's one you can trade to someone, I suppose.
Yep. It comes with the territory too, Kel, of being content creators, where we open a lot of boxes. Like, you're going to get the good and you're going to get the bad. You have both ends because you open enough, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of being a content creator, Kel, I think I just want to mention, in case we didn't really hammer it in, but Kel, you create content for all sorts of other TCGs. You've been doing some altered content, and we have altered viewers on our channel. So I really want to encourage everyone, if you're watching this, you get to the stage of the video, if you've enjoyed our little bit of a banter and discussion here over opening this, you head over to Kel's channel. Make sure you watch the video over there. Same thing, crack him with his box, except we talk a lot longer.
It's a long one, yeah, for sure. I probably didn't cut anything out of it, so it's probably like a couple hours or something.
I cut a MIDI discussion out of Age of Sigmar out of this video. I spared you guys that one, but
let us know in the comments down below if you want us to discuss Age of Sigmar.
Absolutely. But then make sure you hit up Kel's other altered content and show him a bit of love there, because Kel wants to. Hey, look, you guys, this is between you and me now, okay? Kel's not listening, but if Kel gets a lot of support, he'll probably support Altered more, okay? And that's what everybody wants right now. So Let's head over there. Let's show him the love, give him the comments, give him the likes, give him the subs, and then also check out all his other cool games. Because Kel's a Bushiroad ambassador. He's pushing a lot of other really cool card games. We share some that we both love. They're games that I've played and I enjoy too. But Kel is just like he's showing them the love over there. So check out all of his stuff as well while you're there.
Yep, I cover a lot of basically all the Bushiroad games at this point, and I do plan on covering the new Hololive game at least a little bit when it comes out. But I also cover whatever else I feel like.
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm currently playing 6 games. Also, I talk a lot about Grand Archive, though. If you play Grand Archive, you probably already know. You're probably already at least a little bit familiar with me, to some degree. But yeah, I think Altered's a fantastic game, and as Dan was saying that, I went and looked up how good the previous 2 Altered videos that I did, which they came out the last couple of days, and they've done quite well. So it's always kind of a gamble when you do a new game, especially on like a new game on YouTube. YouTube can be great, and also you could make a video and it just bombs, and there's like a 10 out of 10, which is not 10 out of 10 is not good on YouTube. 10 out of 10 means it's the worst out of 10. It's the 10th ranked video out of 10. With that said, my previous 2 Altered videos are a 1 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10. So those are pretty good. Yeah.
That is great. That's great to hear. Holy cow.
Is pretty good. The first one has over 5,000 views, and the second one, what I just published today, has over 1,000. And those are pretty good, especially for like a brand new game. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome to hear. Very excited. Love that you're dabbling in Altered here, because I've been loving it for so long. It was a lot of fun just to share this opening experience with you, Kel. And I'd love to hear from the audience too. Leave a comment down below. What did you guys think of our joint opening / banter here? Kel and I were just going to like crack these boxes on our own, but we're like, what if, let's just like collab it. Let's just see what, let's try that out. See what it's like. So it's a little bit experimental. I just want to hear what you guys think. If you enjoy the collabs, you enjoy when we have RZR here, when I join him on his channel, just let us know. Otherwise, thank you, Kel, for doing this. It was a ton of fun. We will be doing more stuff in the future.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sure of it. I don't want to spill too much of the secret sauce, but yeah.
There are irons in fires.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.